So The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Why we do what we do in life and business. That is the tagline of this amazing book. And today I'm going to dive in deep and share with you 3 key lessons that I learned from The Power of Habit. The book is a detailed study of how habits work and how they can be applied to both life and business. This type of insight can change our understanding of what it means to change your habits, how you can do it, and why you should do it. Now, what I love about The Power of Habit is that it's not mumbo jumbo or any new age pseudoscience concepts. It outlines cutting-edge scientific studies and research that is being done right now and has been done in the field of behavior change. And Charles Duhigg is a researcher, not a life coach or self-help guru. He has a great way of explaining things in the book and simplifying complicated habit studies down into simple concepts that we can apply to our daily lives. Now, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg is an interesting mix between psychology and business. Charles shows us how businesses have used habit research to improve their companies, as well as how people can apply these takeaways from the information in their personal lives too. Now, The Power of Habit is full of real-world examples and insights from people that have actually changed their habits. One of my favorite stories is the one right at the beginning of the book about a lady who was betrayed by her husband, and she ends up making a rash decision and booking a ticket all the way to Egypt. And while she's on this Egyptian holiday, she decided that she wanted to make a change, and so what she ended up doing was quitting smoking, and this completely transformed her life. Now, prior to this incident, she was obese, she was $10,000 in debt, she had started smoking and drinking when she was 17, so she wasn't in a very good state. And also recently her husband had left her. But when she decided to quit smoking, this was a keystone habit that rippled into every other area of her life. Now, The Power of Habit stands out among the rest of the books in the self-help or behavior change arena because it uses actual scientific research to explain exactly how habits work. Charles Duhigg has done a great job at simplifying this information so that anyone can utilize it to change their lives. So if you are interested in changing your behaviors, whether you want to improve your productivity, get out of debt, quit smoking or drinking or overeating, or just achieve your full potential in general, then The Power of Habit is for you. So let's move on to the 3 key ideas I took away from the book. Now, these are just my personal takeaways, and no doubt you might have many more when you read the book for yourself. I'll include links down below where you can go check out the book for yourself. Key idea number 1 is the structure of a habit. One of the central concepts of the book is the idea of the habit loop, which forms the anatomy of a habit. Now, habits can be changed if we understand how they work. Our brain is constantly looking for ways to conserve energy, and creating habits is a way for our brain to automate tasks, thoughts, and processes that we do every single day. Now, the structure of a habit is the most important thing to understand when trying to change your habits, because at the end of the day, if you know how something works, then it's much easier to change it. The habit loop is a breakdown of how a habit works, and as you'll see, there are 3 core components to it. So the habit loop consists of 3 core components, which are the cue, the routine, and the reward or benefit. When you're trying to understand how to change one of your habits or implement a new one, you first need to know what the habit loop looks like for that particular habit. Once you've identified the anatomy of the habit you're trying to change or implement, this gives you more power to make a behavior change that is longer lasting and much more sustainable. In the book, Charles states that first there is a cue, a trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode and which habit to use. Then there is a routine, which can be physical, mental, or emotional. Finally, there is a reward, which helps your brain figure out if this particular loop is worth remembering for the future or not. Repetition of this cycle of cue, routine, reward eventually creates a powerful habit that automatically unfolds whenever it is required by your brain. often unconsciously. By recognizing the cue and reward a bad habit provides, we can alter the routine to be something more favorable and ultimately change the bad habit into a good one. However, unfortunately, it isn't that easy because countless studies have shown that a cue and a reward on their own aren't enough for a new habit to last. There's a much bigger force at play. So what is this force? Well, it's key idea number 2, which is cravings. As I mentioned before, a cue and a reward on their own are not enough to make a habit last. Only when your brain starts to expect the reward, i.e. form a craving for the reward, does the habit become automatic. Charles describes in The Power of Habit that the cue, in addition to triggering a routine, must also trigger a craving for the reward to come. Only then does a habit become permanent and automatic. Now, this craving is what powers every habit loop you have running, whether good or bad. And this craving is what makes a habit so powerful and often so difficult to change. This is why if you're a smoker and you see another person light up, you automatically start craving a cigarette too, even though you weren't previously thinking about one. Or if you hear a notification on your phone, your brain automatically starts anticipating the reward of checking those red dots, and you can't help but start moving towards unlocking your phone and checking the notifications. When the cue is triggered, in this case someone else smoking or the ping of a notification, our brain starts to anticipate the reward long before we actually receive it. Denying ourselves a reward or trying to resist it at this point becomes completely futile. This neurological connection forms the basis of cravings and is what drives many of us to break our New Year's resolutions or cave into that delicious piece of cake we were trying so hard to resist, even though we're supposed to be on a diet. Too often when we cave in, we start to blame ourselves for the failure as if we are personally responsible. We vow to try harder next time and rely on willpower to help us eliminate the bad habit. We think that being more disciplined or motivated or inspired or whatever buzzword you want to use, we will finally make the change we want and live happily ever after. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work that way. The neural networks for bad habits can't be eliminated. They will always be present as they are hardwired into the brain. Why bother trying to eliminate something that can't be eliminated? So how can we get out of the trance of cravings and alter our habits? For this, we need to recognize which craving is driving the undesirable behavior and then diverting it to a better or more desirable habit. So for example, let's say every day on your lunch break, you head down to the local bakery to indulge in a donut. This is a habit that's causing you to become overweight and you'd like to change it. So let's break down the habit here so that we can identify the craving. So the cue is the timing. It's lunchtime, you've worked hard all morning, you feel a little depleted, so you need an energy boost. This is the craving. The routine is you getting out of your chair and heading down to the bakery to pick up your delicious donut. This is you indulging in and satisfying the craving. The reward is the sugar rush and resulting energy you feel after eating the donut. So by breaking the habit down, we can recognize that the craving driving the undesirable behavior is the feeling of depletion and requiring an energy boost. In the book, Charles explains that to change an old habit or behavior, you must address an old craving. You can keep the same cues and rewards as before and feed the craving by inserting a new routine. So with that in mind, to change this habit, we could satisfy our craving for an energy boost by changing the routine from buying a donut to heading to the local park for a jog instead, or by replacing the donut with a healthier sweet option such as healthy smoothie or a healthy snack. Once you can see the cues and rewards driving your habits as well as the cravings that cause you to slip up, it becomes easier to start changing your behaviors for the positive. So moving on to the next key idea from The Power of Habit, which is the concept of Keystone Habits. Have you ever noticed when someone starts waking up early in the morning, other habits start to change too? Or maybe you've noticed that when you start going to the gym, you start watching what you eat as well. I know from my own personal experience that whenever I've had a regular gym schedule in the past, other areas of my life have also improved as a result. Why is this? These are what Charles describes in the book as Keystone Habits. Now, there are certain habits that have the power to start a chain reaction, changing other habits along the way. This is exactly why, as mentioned before, typically people who start some sort of exercise start eating better and become more productive in other areas of their lives too. Exercise is a keystone habit and its effects ripple throughout the rest of your lifestyle. So whenever you're looking to change a habit or implement a new one, try to identify a keystone habit as it provides the highest leverage for you. Why change many smaller habits when you can implement a keystone habit and change many habits by default? But the question is, how can you identify what is a keystone habit and what isn't? Well, again, Charles helps us here. In the book, he defines a keystone habit as small habits that people introduce into their routines that unintentionally carry over into other aspects of their lives. So any habit that has the potential of a domino effect on your life can be a keystone habit. Some examples of keystone habits include waking up early, exercising for 10 minutes every day, eating home-cooked meals, practicing more gratitude, food journaling, and many, many more. You just need to look out for them and use the habit loop to implement them in your life so you can start living your fullest potential. That's all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you watched this far, then I would appreciate a like or a comment down below. And also, if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this one. That's all. Take care. Bye bye.